Okay, so here's how I created a spiderweb through code. I thought it was pretty cool. And if it's useful to anybody else, that'll be pretty cool too, I guess. Okay, so here's how a spiderweb generally looks, right? So you have these like main lines going out like this, and then between those two you have like these sublines going here. So what we're gonna do is draw those lines and then draw two sublines between each of them. Um, cool. So first, I just set up my room over here. What I did was I just put it 250 by 250 and created a viewport of 250 and 250. Um, and in the game manager, I just increased the resolution by 2.5. So there's that. And then all you have to do is create another object for the spider web. And here's what I did for creating the main links. So what we're going to do here is create lines coming from the center of the object through using length dir, length dirx and length diry. So we want to create the length that we're going to use for that. So I just created an array and called it main length. And for each of the instances in that, I had random range of 16 to 32 and then multiply it by scale. And the scale is variable between 1 to 2.5. You could play around with these lengths. It doesn't really matter. It's up to you, like what you want to do for that. But this will determine like how big your spider web is going to get, or at least like, the length or size wise. Um, and then I'll just remove this here. You don't need that, and you do need the image angle equal to random 360 to give it a span, and then also a depth of 10. We'll be using this one a bit later too for a little thing. Um, okay, and then when we go over to drawing, to draw the main like uh, links or the main lines that goes across, you set the color to c underscore y, this is just variable, and then we set the directions equal to 360 divided by 6 and then times I. That's because we have 6 lines are going to be going out, so the angle that's going to be between each of them is going to be divided by 6. And then we multiply by I because that's where we currently are in the for loop. And then just increase that by the image angle, which we already made variable between 0 to 360. So it'll be just more randomness to it to make it seem more realistic, I guess. Um, right, and then the length that we're going to be using is equal to the main length I, which we already calculated before. So then we just draw the length, or draw the line, rather, from x and y to x plus length drx of length and then dar, and then y plus length dry and of length and dir with a width of 2 and using the color. So then when we run this, we get this kind of star looking asterisk thing. And I implemented pressing R to just the room restart the room. So here's a different like or the ways it'll look if you just keep creating more of them. So you can see how varied the length and size gets here. Okay, so now we want to draw the lines or the sublines between each of the two main lines or between two of the main lines as it's going. Um, so if you run it again, we want to draw one going like from here to here, from here to here, here to here, and then so on. Um, so what we'll do in that case is create sublinks, and we'll just go up to 2 sublinks, but you could keep increasing it, and then you could just make this, you could improve this later on if you want. But this is just for a really simple implementation. So I named this sublength 1, and we just do the same, except that the length is a random range between 0 and the main length of I divided by 2. And that's because what we want to do here is have it be anywhere in this range, right? And then the other one's going to be anywhere in this range. Um, because if you have like one that's over here and then the second one's like down here, then you're just going to have like some weird crisscrossing that maybe you want, but for this case, we don't want that. Uh, cool. So then when you go over to the draw event, we could uncomment this out, and we just do the same thing here, except that now we have a length of one or length one, and then a length two. And the length two is the endpoint that it's going to get to, right? So this is the length of the next element in the array. So we're going to be using like these two, drawing from this one to this one, and then from this one to this one, and so on. But then at the end, we're just going to draw from the last one to the beginning. So that's why at the end we just do I plus 1 and then modulus 6. So when it gets to 6, it'll go back. Um, or it'll be 0 because it's 0 when you do mod 6. So we just draw a line from x plus length dir x of length 1 and dir to y plus length dir y of length 1 and dir to the same one of, you can just copy and paste that and then do length 2 instead of length 1. And then for the dir plus 360 divided by 6 because we know the distance is going to be the same for this. And then width of 2 and then just the color. So you run that. Um, and here's what we get. So it's just, you could see it's from this, or it chooses a random length from half of it, half of the main length, and then it connects it to the other ones that it got chosen. So you get this kind of cool connecting, like, spider pattern thing that's going on. Cool. And so now to increase and, make it better, we just do the same thing, but with we add another sublength. So sublength 2i is equal to random range of main length I divided by 2, right? We're starting off where we ended over here to main length. And for the draw, we could uncomment this now. And this is exactly the same as the previous one, except that for here we do sublength 2 and then get I there. Um, and same for length 2 here. But other than that, it's exactly the same. So we run that. And here's what you get, this kind of like cool spider pattern, which when you combine it with like a bunch of different of the same objects, you could start like, decorating your rooms or any of you can use it for anything like within your game. So let's go here. We'll do this, add like 2 more. And you could see how it starts getting varied there. Okay, and now for further improvements, you could just have a destroying element in it. So instead of, when it gets hit by anything, in my implementation of it, I have it to where I want the object to destroy. Um, Instead of having it like be too sudden, we could do this thing where we decrease the length of the spider web by 0.9, and then it kind of like shrinks up and then disappears when the main length is less than 1. So in this case, I just have a key press on F, setting a Boolean to destroy, which we set to false in the beginning. And then on the step, we um, we check if it's destroying, and if it is, we just decrease all the lengths by or multiply by 0.9, which just decreases it. So we have a cool effect here when we run it. Right, so we have these webs that are created, and when we press F, they shrink up and disappear. So we could press R, and then they shrink up. And you could do the same too, like just do opposite. You have to change around a few things, but um, You could also make it like grow into place. Okay, and lastly, I want to show this how you could improve upon this and just make it a little bit more, you know, flashy if you wanted to, just adding a little bit of animation to it. So I added a aim count that increases by zero point 0.1. At the beginning, we just set aim count equal to random 2 times pi. Um, and the draw, we increase by zero point 0.1 here. Um, in the draw, I have each of the links increasing or adding sign of and count. Um, and it gives it kind of this like growing and shrinking effect that looks pretty cool. And you could add, 2 times that if you want to make it more pronounced in your game or like to your specific situation. And then we also add a main dir. So dir is just equal to the main dir array. And we just do the same thing, except that now we increase by sign of count plus I, and it gives it this effect here. So the shrinking and growing is from the sign that we added to each of the links, and then you can see how this kind of like wiggles, and it makes it seem like it's like unstable, or it's like something that's if you have a spider on it, it'll seem like the spider's like moving it or something like that. Um, so I guess you can't really see it too well, so we could do like 3 times sign there. Yeah, yeah. So you have this cool effect of like, it's kind of like alive now, and everything stays close together. Mostly there's like this little thing that I notice it's disconnecting, but yeah, it looks pretty good for the most part. And if you just increase the width of the lines here, then you won't be able to really tell that they're not connecting here. Um, it's actually just increase it by 3 and see if that helps it a bit. Yeah. Um, yeah, so that's cool. Uh, and you can just keep improving upon this. We already have the color like separated, so if you just want to change the color to like red for your game, or have the color be variable to some extent, um, have like some webs be grayer than other ones, or however you want to do it. Um, yeah, you could do that, and this is how it looks when it's red. Um, cool. So hope this was helpful. Um, yeah, it's just a cool little thing. I figured out if it's useful to anybody else, that'll be cool too. Nice.